One of my clients just bombed 12 interviews in a row with companies like Notion, CrowdStrike, and DoorDash. He came to me ready to quit, convinced he wasn't cut out for tech sales. I'm going to show you the real conversation we had because this is the part of breaking into elite tech company that nobody talks about. It's not linear. Everyone shows you the wins, the offer letter, the salary screenshots, the success stories. Today, I want to do something different. I'm going to show you what happens when someone fails repeatedly and how we actually got him back on track. I'll start by saying that with a contrast because you know I love those. There is two types of people in the world. There's Davids and there's Jakes. Those two people are actual clients that I have and I find the archetype. Jake joined the incubator less than a month ago and he already landed his role. And don't take my word for it. I'm just going to literally show you here. This is the incubator. Jake sent me a message. That was yesterday. He joined November 15. I sent him the information for his onboarding. Fast forward, literally 3-4 weeks later, he got his role. That's Jake. There are people that are like that. They get things on their first shot. It's impossible to tell whether it's the incubator's information that is awesome, or that is Jake that is awesome, or there was just luck involved. Point is, things go really fast all of a sudden, and that's great. And I'm happy for you, Jake. You don't deserve it any less. And then there's other type of person. There's the Davids of the world, which is people that are setting themselves objectives to reach, and they really need to put a fight for it. The universe doesn't just hand them that. That is the case of David. He joined during the summer, and he still hasn't landed a role for 3 months now.
I've been doing okay in that regards. I guess maybe personally, maybe I kind of felt off after that September recruitment window. I'm doing okay. Like all these other people are succeeding, but I'm kind of like the slow kid that's like behind everyone else, you know? I know the material, I've gone through it. I know your system works, but just like I'm bad at taking tests who performs poorly. In this case would be the interviews, I guess.
I'd rather take someone who fucking struggled but kept trying, kept his input high, his mindset in check, and climbed up the mountain over the guy that big one-hit deal, you know, got lucky with like what that thing.
Yeah, no, I hear.
Like 100%.
And I'll be honest with you, I am a David. When I got out of college, I tried to go into management consulting at like a big 4 company. The first 3, I promise you 3 turned me down. It was only the 4th one that got me in. When I interviewed for my first AE promotion, I got discarded. I was heartbroken because I was taking things very seriously. I wanted to make that kind of money. Then when I got promoted into an enterprise, my first deal, I got laughed out of the room by a CEO in front of my manager. That was my first enterprise deal with like veterans. I got shredded. What I'm trying to say here is there are people basically when they're trying to do something meaningful in their life, it's not given to them easily. They need to put in a fight. And this is David. That's kind of what I want to expand on. I want to zoom in is ugly and the challenges, you know, of clients inside the incubator. And the best example is top of mind right now is David. I'll go in details, but the big picture is he joined the incubator. We literally generated 10 interviews in 2 weeks. We got the VP of Gong who put in a referral for us. We got an interview with CrowdStrike, LiveRamp, with DoorDash, DocuSign, Notion. We got so many great interviews and we somehow managed to just fumble them all. This is the beginning of September. And then fast forward a month later, we literally crashed them all. And I want to just pause here, tell you that this is not uncommon, that this is normal, that it will happen to actually most of you. And that's okay. It is part of that journey. Now I want to show you what is it that we've actually done to get here and what happened once we got here. So the first step is I want you to know who is David. There's so many Davids out there and I'm even one of them. David contacted me during the summer. He was a professional sports bettor and he mingled a bit in marketing, like very small minion jobs, you know, in the marketing world. And he just got sick of the unpredictability of his life path. He wanted to eventually build out a family, have a wife and kids. And this was what isn't going to cut it, like this path. It wasn't safe enough, or this wasn't an environment that was safe that he wanted to bring them in. And he needed to fix that. I had a strong reason to wanting to basically go into tech sales. I ended up telling him exactly where I felt comfortable I could get him in terms of like companies and compensation. It was aligned with that. He paid, joined the incubator. Next week, we jumped on the onboarding call. This was the phase 1, the positioning. Positioning is just a fancy word to say why should a company want to meet with you as opposed to someone else that has more experience at better companies. This is not going to cut it. I need to build a story value. And this is what we did the very first week he joined. I reframed his experience into a fresh new resume that was going to convert. And beyond that is I put together basically a cover letter where I flesh out why the company combination of his unique background, in this case, sports betting plus some marketing, will make him a lethal salesperson into a one-pager story that will intrigue enough to generate interviews. We went through a round of edits and then boom, it was done by the end of the first week. Then what we did is we had this strong positioning that was going to generate interviews. Now, where are we going to send it to? That was the second step that we solved. And we put together basically a lead list with the top roles specific to David experience, to his seniority that he can go for, available in his geography. And this is account planning. This is the second phase. And we put together, of the course, that was a bit long because he went on vacation. But anyway, over the course of 1 month, we put together that list. And I sent him a video. I jumped on a call. He gave me the list. I scrapped everyone's email and phone numbers so that we were ready to fucking launch our email sequence comes September, which was the best big recruitment moment where you will get disproportionate basically result as opposed to other windows, which I'm going to actually explain here. So anyways, pause here. So phase 2, what we did here is we built our lead list for the course of August. Then we got everything ready so that by September, we were ready to launch the Rainbow campaign. And if you don't know what the Rainbow campaign, I addressed that the previous video, where it's an email sequence that we use inside the incubator that provide all the scripts for Loom videos, for cold outreach emails, phone calls, everything that you need to generate interviews, the actual scripts and template. So anyways, we run that email, that Rainbow campaign across the lead list that we built, and we launched it on August 31st. By September 4th, we got our first reply, our first email, and first interview with Gong. And I'm putting this star because there is something very important that I want to mention here for everyone that is watching this video. Sure, there are a few components to getting tons of interviews with companies. There's the positioning, how people perceive you, who you contact, and what you say. Those are things that I will do for you. But there's another component that is even more important, which is when you actually outreach to people. There are 4 large recruitment windows over the year. Biggest one is actually in January, from January to mid-March. And this is when most companies, the top ones, have tons of headcount openings on their team and are hiring and have high urgency to bring someone new. The second best window is September. This is why if you look at the time stamps here, we'll get everything ready basically for September so that we can serve that wave, which is exactly what we did. What I'm trying to say that the biggest recruitment window of the year is coming up soon. If you want to make the most out of it, find your way into top tech companies in tech sales, either start or level up. You're already in sales and just want to level up into a better organization that pays you disproportionately more. You can click the link below to join the incubator. We run the entire process. We serve the momentum, and what happened is that we generated tons of interviews real fast. The problem is it all happened so fast we didn't have time to prepare them accordingly, and we ended up fumbling every one of them. This is normal. This was the first time that David was actually interviewing, for a corporate job. So it wasn't going to come magically all at once. It needs time for things to settle, the information that he learns and everything. It just happened so fast that unfortunately he wasn't able to capitalize on that. And the problem wasn't that he fumbled the interviews. That happens to everyone. The problem was the reaction he had right there. And he sent me this message saying, feel like a worthless failure and fraud right now on the outside looking in, with the perpetual sense of despair on the likelihood of a successful breakthrough. Like, this is very potent, hardly emotional charge. You can feel the difficulty here. Not much feedback to go off, so it could be me being considering too much of a black sheep risk to hire compared to other traditional candidates. You hire linear background people with sales experience, corporate experience, or combination of variables. What I'm trying to say here is that he went through what we call the shame spiral. And this is a very famous framework pattern humans just go through anytime they get rejected or they fail at something that they really want, something big that they really want to do or achieve. And what happens is trigger event, in this case rejection, you generate like a negative self-perception, feel like a worthless failure. Then you get those judgmental thoughts, which is exactly what we're seeing here. You get more rejections, which only confirms those negative thoughts that you have. And then what happens is you freeze, you withdraw. This is what happens, where basically David disappeared for literally a month. I would send him a message like, what's up, where are you at? No answers. We wouldn't go into those things, and I hope no one have to struggle with those things. But what I want you to be aware of is really just that there are patterns. I want you to recognize the pattern of that usually happens when something negative happens in life. And the whole point of our work, of the incubator, of sales, of becoming a top sales performer, sales professional, is to fucking break out of this loop. Get out of the slums as fast as possible. You want to disrupt it. And this is what I'm going to be covering, which is how we did that with the reframes, okay? I reframed those situation in ways that just made more sense to him and were empowering. And I'm going to share with you 3 of those reframes that we discussed when we hopped on the call. The very first reframe is, David, you're confusing a skill problem with an identity problem. Bombing interviews means you haven't learned how to interview yet. That's all. Doesn't mean that you're not cut up for sales. And I remember even telling him on the call, you wouldn't quit professional betting. You're telling me you're a professional sports bettor after losing streak because you know the process that you have is sound and is going to rebound on it. This is the same thing. So this is not the moment to quit. You're so close. So the second reframe is you are judging a process by a single outcome. Dude, most people never even get a chance to interview with top companies. You're getting CrowdStrike, Notion, Gong, DocuSign, DoorDash 2 weeks after we basically launched our campaign. You're missing the big picture here. You are able to generate interviews with top companies whenever you want. And we've done that just in 2 weeks. So getting you a job offer letter is just a function of time and going through the reps. That's the second reframe. The third reframe, and this is the most important one, and this is what I told every single client when they book a strategy call, when they have a sales call for joining the incubator. I want to be very clear. The incubator, our work is not about landing any specific job. I couldn't care less whether you get Google or Microsoft or anything in between. What matters to me is that you become the kind of person that lands the best tech sales role on demand for the rest of your life. This is what matters to me. And you going through that process, the rejection and building tough skin to get back on the horse and power through it is exactly what will make you a lethal and top performer. No one can teach you that. Can handhold you, remind you of it, but this is the point where basically you need to do the work. And the incubator is exactly about that. The transformation that is internal. Here's some actual writing that I put. We jumped on a call afterwards, but if you want to read it, you can just pause and do that. So anyways, the lessons now for you. What this means for you is getting rejected and doubting yourself is normal and part of the process if you're trying to do, again, anything meaningful in your life. Pushing through the valley is exactly what makes you worthy of that role or whatever that thing that you're trying to achieve. What I love about sales, and the whole reason I got into sales myself, is because I refuse to let like a guy in a suit or like a job rejection phase me so much where basically I give up on things and I have like this huge and terrible cash out down. I don't want these things to phase me out that much. So for me, the way I look into sales is those rejections are like the salt that I need to shed the dead skin in order to become the kind of person that just does all those things and takes care of its family. I need to get way past that. And sales just give me those ritual exercises where I can practice that and become more of that person. And that matters to me more than the actual money and the promotion and everything in between. Pushing through the valley is exactly, again, what will make you worthy of that role. So please don't give up. And the final piece is why community matters. Is because sometimes you can literally like spiral into your head and withdraw yourself and give up when all that it would literally take, I'm talking about this spiral, all it would take is literally just to sit down with someone and just have one conversation that might help you basically get out of it. And the thing with the incubator is that you get access to so many different people from different backgrounds. You got the enterprise and you also got the guy who with no sales experience like David, and you get to see that there are different timelines. Things work different ways and it's not linear, and you want to hear this story. You want to hear those people. You have access to them, ask them questions, and you want to bring me in when you're stuck or you have questions. I've seen it all and I'm here to help you through it. I love this. I care about it. So if you keep in mind those things, and this is what I was telling David, this is the story when we were wrapping up our call and reviewing kind of the situation of everything. I just told this is the story of the time you almost quit tech sales and didn't. Don't let that to be something else. So anyways, in recap here, what I had to put just in a few words, David didn't fail because he's bad at sales. He failed because he hadn't learned how to interview yet. And instead of quitting, he's adjusting, learning, and getting ready for the next wave, which is again starting in January. If you're going through something similar right now, if you're getting rejected and starting to doubt whether you're cut out for this, you're not broken. You just haven't figured it out yet. And that's okay. That's part of the process. If you want to build tough skin and get yourself out of the slums with a community that reminds you rejection is temporary, click the first link in the description to learn more about the incubator and how we might be able to help you.